Howdy, howdy. Welcome on into the pre-show before the free show. And happy Monday, folks. How's it going?
It is a Monday.
Oh, you're a little tall. I'll fix that later.
Sup?
And then I'm over here like
all the way down.
Hey, how's it going?
You
Hi.
know, it's a happy medium there. We kind of met in the middle. Something is wrong.
It is.
With this headset here. I'm struggling. It is a Monday.
I want to ask you something. Now, we kind of talked about this before the show, but I want to talk about that with our audience as well. So, you and I, big Cowboys fans.
Oh, yeah.
We dem boys,
Hashtag
right?
we dem boys.
We are in fact dem boys.
We are, in fact, dem boys.
Dem boys, yes. So, of course, we were looking at tickets for the playoff game this Sunday versus the 49ers. And I would like you to tell the audience how much these tickets are and where these tickets are as well, the cheapest ones that you could find.
Yeah, so SeatGeek knows me really well, I guess. I've got the app on my phone, like most of us sports fans probably do. But I'm sitting here, and all of a sudden there's a little SeatGeek notification that pops up on my home screen, and I'm like, okay, what is this? And it was like Cowboys tickets, and I'm like, look at that technology, knowing their audience here, and I'm like, okay, let me take a gander here. So the ones that popped up, it said $129, and I'm thinking, okay, I could splurge and do that. Well, they're standing room only tickets. Okay, so I just get the curiosity at that point, like, okay, getting in the door, being able to be there. If you're going to do it now, especially when I think that they have a pretty decent chance of winning this game, you know, why not? And then I look and I'm like, okay, what's the next, like, actual seat, like butt-in seat, what's the next thing? It's like $300 and something, and that's like at like the very, very, very top. And it was like even in the third. So there's like the normal 3 decks of AT&T Stadium, and then there's that one that's like up there, which I firmly believe. I feel like at every single level of that stadium throughout different events. I don't think there's a bad seat in the house.
No.
I do not think in that stadium there is a bad seat in the house. You still feel like you're kind of close to the action, even when you're all the way up at the top.
Well, and especially that big Jumbotron.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know how tall that is? It's like what, 60 feet? I bet we could figure out. But even when you're up quick story, at the beginning of the season, Pickle and I went to a preseason game. Now those tickets were what, $15 each?
Yeah.
They were not expensive at all.
Maybe I think we did 15 like with tax included.
Yeah, it was very cheap. But anyways, we still had a great time because that Jumbotron up there, you can see everything very clearly. You don't even need to look at the field. Now, if you look at the field, you're kind of screwed because you see little tiny people, little ants, and you can obviously still watch the game, but it's much easier to watch it on the big screen. So you don't really need to be close to the field to enjoy yourself because you've got that big Jumbotron.
Right, and I feel like what people end up, I'm still trying to look up, I do know, here's the thing, it cost $40 million. Mitsubishi designed it and built the screen.
For a screen? That's absurd.
I'm trying
I could buy a penthouse in New York City with that much money. Now, I would love to live in New York City, but I can't. I don't have $40 million. If you can just sell me that Jumbotron, then I'll...
The feature that has generated the most buzz, this is obviously an older article, but the scoreboard hasn't changed any. It's a scoreboard that hangs 90 feet above the field. Well, I don't care how much above the field it is.
I think I heard something like it was like 60 feet or something
here we go.
Like that. Did you find
the scoreboard has 4 screens, 2 gigantic screens that face the end zones, which are the smaller one. They measure 29 feet high and 51 feet wide. The other 2 screens are even more massive and face the sideline. These monstrosities measure 72 feet high and 160 feet wide. Together, all 4 screens create 25,000 square feet, which is about, that's meters of displays. So in total, you have about 25,000 square feet of video board to watch. And so that's where people run into the issue in AT&T Stadium is you watch the video board too much.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've heard people, especially when it comes to, like, going to concerts there. I've been to a concert there, but I was actually on the floor of it, so I couldn't see the screen, and so it was great. But, yeah, I've heard that anyone that goes to a concert there, they're like, man, you run into the same issue, which we do at state championships, which works out well for us because we're working and need to visually see it.
Right.
But it's like, yeah, during Cowboy games, you get caught up watching the game from the screen, and then you're going, well, why did I pay all this money to not watch the field? So you have to remind yourself, but it's just so... in your face.
Quality.
Yeah.
It's good quality too. And I'm about 5'3", 5'4". So 5 times 13, 14 of me. That's absurd.
That's a lot of Malpals.
That's a lot of Malpals. Wouldn't you like to have that many Malpals here? I know Tepper wouldn't. 13 of me. That'd be
terrifying.
That'd be terrifying. Yeah, but
and
go
with
Cowboys.
that terrifying note, Malpal, hit the theme expo.
Pickle!
Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a show on the internet. My name is Ashley Pickle. I'm the video director for Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine, and TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, or listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice, thank you for supporting your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm. Thankfully, there's only one of her and not 14 of her. It's Malpal. How are you, Malpal?
I am doing well.
I
you wish there were 13 of me.
Yeah,
No,
something
you
like
don't.
that. I'm not even going to explain that for the podcast people. If you want to go back and watch the
Good teaser.
the pre-show. Get you some pre-show action. Let's see. Today is Monday, January 10th, 318 days until Thanksgiving. January 10th, the birthday of British rock star Rod Stewart. Happy birthday. I think he turned 77 today. This is episode 1309. Before I get to what's on the show, we'll kind of go through that because we're doing a lot of the same stuff, switching around the order. Malpal, do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was Tony Blaylock, Daniel Agnew, Rob Hadaway, and Aaron Arbuckle. Welcome in, fellas.
Welcome in, friends. A gorgeous Monday morning. Luckily not as cold as it has been, but it's still pretty cold out there. All right, so we're switching around the order of things today. We're going to start off with Lorena head coach Ray Biles. Of course, the state championship winning coach. He's been at Lorena for 30 years, and he finally, not only did the state championship secure his 200th win, he also grabbed his first ever state championship. So we are super, super excited to have Coach Biles hop on the show with us today. Then we have a quick note about some DCTF stuff that we want you to know about. And then in the back half of the show, we're going to do what we usually do to start off Monday mornings, and that'll be some news and notes, some headlines across the state of Texas in regards to football across the Lone Star State. But before we get there, we are Malpal. Let's go ahead and head over to the hotline as we welcome in the head coach of those state championship Lorena Leopard, Coach Ray Biles. Coach, how are you, man?
Doing well, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. We got to ask you before anything else. You've had a couple weeks now, to let it all kind of die down and soak it all in. But how are things in Lorena, Texas? Is everyone still just so excited about that state championship?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of folks. We had a great crowd that day, and I think there were people from the '87 championship game that were all there as well. So it's kind of a big deal here in Lorena, and a lot of people are still enjoying it, and that's great for our community and our kids and our school, and it's just a great all-around thing.
So I want to go back and kind of start at the beginning of the season. We projected you guys to finish first in your district. We knew you were going to be pretty good. I mean, you had a great run at 9-3 last year, got knocked out in that regional semifinal round. When you think back to August and you look at those groups of returning starters that you had, did you know then that you had the team and the pieces of the puzzle to be able to make a state championship run?
Well, I thought we had the chance to do that. So many things have to go well for you, injury-wise and so many other ways. Your kids, a lot of them, just need to develop. Can they continue to improve? And I thought we had a good nucleus, but it was a matter of how quickly can those guys grow together? Can the offensive line get a little bit better? Can our defense start? Last year we scored an awful lot of points, but we had difficult time stopping people. But this year we had a much better defensive stand all the way through the season. So anyway, there were some question marks, but I think after the first two ball games, we were 0-2 against Franklin and China Spring. But at that point in time, I could tell, hey, we got a shot. These guys are good, and they're playing well, and they're playing hard, and things don't rattle them. They just get up and keep going. So, we thought we had a shot.
Well, and I love how you phrase that. Because, I mean, obviously, yeah, you start the season 0-2. Now, obviously, those two teams had incredible seasons as well, but you started there. Moving on throughout the season, was there a moment when stuff had really been going right? You start to get some of those wins under your belt that you realized, oh, shoot, man, we're doing this. We actually can make this run to AT&T Stadium. Was there a specific moment in the year that clicked?
Yeah, I believe for me, probably, I guess it was the area finals down at Texas State against Columbus. We had a very good ball game in all phases of the game, offense, defense, and kicking game, and I could just see the confidence growing week to week to week, and these guys, they grew into a position where they were expecting to win. They weren't just, hey, let's hope this works out well. It was like, no, let's go take care of our business. So from that standpoint, probably that third round of the playoffs, and from then on, I really thought those guys are they all have bought into what we're selling, and it looks real good.
Absolutely, it did. And offensively speaking, I mean, you really had a two-headed monster there with both Rhett and Reed at the running back positions, and some really tough ground and pound kind of guys. I know that they're seniors, obviously. They went out on top. But how much fun was it for you to watch those two guys go in there week in and week out and just dominate?
Well, it was so nice because there was no drop off. They both played on defense. Rhett was a defensive end, Reed's a safety, so they were both playing on the defense side of the ball. And whichever one of them happened to be rotating in on that particular series at the running back position, Reed ended up with 1,437 yards, and Rhett ended up with 1,496 yards. So they were almost balanced out as far as carries and yards per carry and everything else. So there wasn't really a drop off, but and I think those two kids were, really encouraging each other. I know when Reed got hurt in the semifinal game in the second quarter, it would have been easy for him just to, pucker up and pout up. But, man, he was a number one cheerleader the rest of the week going into that state championship game. And we were still hopeful that we could get him on the field, but it just didn't pan out that way. So, going into the game, we were pretty sure Rhett was going to have to carry the rock all night long, and he did a tremendous job for us.
And then going over to your defense, too, I mean, this was a unit that really only gave up just over 14 points a game out of your unbelievably long season. We knew that was going to be a really strong unit for you. How pleased were you with the way that unit just worked? It seemed like they gelled together so well.
They did, and they really, as the season progressed, a lot of confidence, again, on that side of the ball. But, those kids played extremely hard. They weren't the biggest ones, by far that we've had, but boy, these guys got after it, and the pursuit and the way they played with a tremendous amount of effort, and just rallied to the ball. And, we just our whole philosophy is just don't give up the home run, force them to snap it again. If we can do that, then hopefully we can get a stop or end up with 3 instead of 7 up on the board. So anyway, but I'm very proud of the way those guys progressed. Coach Snodgrass and our defensive staff did a tremendous job with them.
And then finally, you get to that state championship game, and your guys come out. I mean, you get up 14-0, and you really never looked back from that point. I'm curious as to, at halftime of that game, what were you telling your guys about going out there and finishing that second half of play and ending up being the state champions?
Well, you're exactly right. We talked about finishing the game, and then we felt like in the second quarter we did not play our best football. We had a turnover and we had some miscues. They hit a couple of big plays, and so we felt like we'd probably taken some of their best shots, and we were still up by possession. So it was critical in the third quarter that we go ahead and get a stop, and we did right off the get-go, and went down and scored again and extended that lead to 21-6. And and then it was on from there. But, those guys at halftime, we just, said, hey, keep doing what we do. We're not going to come in here and change anything. Just keep playing hard and let's see what happens. But, very, very confident bunch of kids. And there never was a doubt in their minds that, they were going to come out of the thing with a W.
We're talking to Coach Ray Biles, the head coach of the Lorena Leopards. Get involved with the conversation, #TF today. Coach, there's a couple more questions for you. And one, I know Texas high school football coaches hate talking about themselves, but we're going to put you on the spot here. With that state championship win, that not only was your 200th career win, Then you add on to the fact that it was your first state championship at a program that you've been coaching at for 30 years now. I mean, you're a man who is the fabric of that community there. What did it mean for you to be able to finally hoist that trophy up, and when that buzzer finally rang at the end of that game? What was that moment like for you?
Well, obviously, it was very emotional. My kids were down there. They're all adults at this point in time, and we have 9 grandkids. And so there were a lot of family members that, had endured an awful lot. I've coached for 42 seasons, like you said, the last 30 here at Lorena. And to be able to put it all together and to be able to bring one home for this community was huge. And not only just for me, but for our family and everything else, because, the sacrifices that a coach's family make are tremendous. There's a lot of times dad's gone, a lot of times your husband's gone. So anyway, that was something that I felt, tremendously, not relieved, but just very happy for a lot of people other than myself. But it was a great feeling, and, still is somewhat.
Absolutely. And then finally, Coach, football coaches, well, they never shut their brain off. I know it's only January, and we're already looking forward towards the 2022 season. But when you take a look at the Lorena Leopards and what they can do in 2022, what are you excited about for the team?
Well, we've got some good ball players coming back. Jaden Porter, one of our receivers, sophomore, will be back for a couple of years. Joe Gutshaw, another young man that plays in defensive line, and a very good football player. And they're just 2 of several young men that we have coming back that I think we're going to have to build around. And, we've got an awful lot of work in front of us. We started 6, 7, 8. I think 8 seniors on both sides of the ball. So I think we're bringing back 3 and 3 on either side of the ball. And so a lot of places to play, a lot of places to fill in. And, we've got a lot of competition going on right now. We're back in the weight room and on the track and trying to get better today.
Well, Coach, we really appreciate the time. Thank you for giving us an unbelievable football team to watch there. It was a blast to watch y'all. Congratulations again on the win. And we hope the party in Lorena just keeps going for you, man.
Well, thank you, Ashley. We appreciate y'all, too, and thanks for the job that you do for Texas high school football.
We appreciate it. There he goes, the head coach of the state champion Lorena Leopards, Coach Ray Biles, and just forever excited for him. And we've talked about it a couple times to really build up a program. And Lorena is a program that had been around for a long time. But to coach somewhere 30 years, like we talk about that, like think like Dirk. We just watched the ceremony of Dirk getting, his jersey put in the rafter, and it's a guy that was there for so long, and you really become a part of that community, and you really learn.
Everybody knows you, everybody loves you.
Yeah, it's what you know. It's what all of those kids there, they've never known another coach from the time that they were born in Lorena all the way up. They've never known another coach to be in charge of a program like that. And for him to get it, I mean, you could just see everyone across the state. He's known as, the grandfather of Central Texas, and so excited for him to finally be able to get that.
Yeah, and that game too, I mean, that team was so dominant on both sides of the ball, and he even mentioned it. I mean, even the second half, they had a couple of those mistakes, but just because they had those mistakes, like, it didn't affect them at all. They were so dominant that they were able to just brush those mistakes off so quickly and not let it affect them. Obviously, the outcome of the game, you can tell by that, but it was a great game.
Yeah, and there was only one person on the DCTF staff that picked Lorena to win. Anyway, we appreciate Coach Ray Biles joining us today. We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon talking football in the Lone Star State. We hope you will consider becoming a Dave Campbell's Texas Football subscriber. Our Rising magazine is now out. If you go to texasfootball.com/subscribe, we will mail this baby right to you. It's taking a look at some of the top 400 recruits in the state of Texas. It is full of nothing but Cruton goodness. So go ahead and go to texasfootball.com/subscribe. All right, Malpal, we will get to headlines across the state. But before we get there, there's a thing that we've known for a couple weeks. It's kind of been kept under the wraps. But Matt Stepp announced it today on Twitter, and so he's ready to go public with this. And so we just wanted to, we know some of you don't have Twitter, so you don't get to see this stuff, and everyone has a kind, giving heart that watches this show, so we want to give you the opportunity to do something for our guy Stepp. So I'm going to go ahead and read the thread that he put out on Twitter today, and this is just so I get all the information correct, and y'all can hear it straight from him, and then we'll show you how you can help. This is what Stepp put on Twitter earlier this morning. I wanted to give everyone an update on my health and the lack of Texas high school football updates of late. I've been hospitalized since December 31st with a staph infection in my bloodstream that spread to my heart. Although it is a serious illness, I'm confident I will pull through. I want to first thank my wife who insisted that I go to the hospital against my wishes. She saved my life, and there's a good chance this infection left unchecked for another 12 to 24 hours would have done irreparable damage. I'd like to thank the wonderful doctors, nurses, and staff at Cambridge Memorial Hospital. They're true heroes and did an amazing treatment on me to save my life. Never once did they care about me not being insured in Ontario. All they cared about was me getting well. What's next? Well, I'm still very sick. How this happened, I'm not sure I'll ever know. I woke up Monday, December 27th and thought I slept wrong with some neck stiffness. By Friday, December 31st, I lost my appetite, had slept very little in 5 days, and had 102.8 fever. I was hallucinating. I had red inflamed rash across my chest that was hot to the touch, and I was in indescribable pain. I'm going to require another 6 full weeks of treatment. It may be done here in Canada, but I may have to fly back to Texas to go straight into the hospital upon landing to get evaluated. We don't know just yet, just depends on insurance and political red tape. Because this happened overseas, and me not being a Canadian citizen, my family is going to face some large medical bills from being hospitalized for well over a week. Any prayers and good thoughts you may have are appreciated. We're also doing a GoFundMe to help offset some of the overseas medical expenses we had incurred. So if any of you are so inclined to help us out, we'd be very grateful. Here's the link. You can see the link on the screen below me. If you need to take out your phone, take a picture of that, share it as anything that you can, there's the link on the screen right there. And then finally, Step rounded it out with, in the meantime, I'm hoping to be out of the hospital soon, getting the final treatments that I need knocked out and getting back on the Texas high school football grind. I will do my best to keep you guys updated regarding my health on here. Love y'all. So I don't have to be the one to tell y'all this. If you have ever had the opportunity to interact with Matt Stepp, you know that he is a guy that will drop anything and everything to help any possible person he can. I mean, from my time starting here, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about Texas high school football, and he never told me it was a dumb question. He never laughed at me. He just helped and helped. And so he's doing well. He's getting better, but it's been a big scare for all of us. Mm-hmm. He's our guy. And so I've heard a lot of people say to Step, we can never thank you enough for what you've done for Texas high school football. Well, here's your opportunity to help him and to help his family. He means so much to us here. And so, like I said, we've put I didn't expect to get that emotional. So sorry. Love you, Step. We've put the GoFundMe for Matt Stepp down there. There is the link. Please, if you don't want to type that in now, take a picture of it. And if you can't donate, that's perfectly fine. Prayers, if you're not the praying type, then just hold a thought for him, We want to make sure that he gets the help he needs, and we want to make sure that he gets better because we need him back here for Texas high school football. Mm-hmm. So we love you, Stepp. We're ready for you to get better. He's doing well. We're so grateful for all the doctors and everything up there in Canada. And if you felt led, GoFundMe for Matt Stepp right down there on the screen. We'll leave it up for just a little while longer. But yeah, everyone say some prayers, and if you felt led, please donate to help out Stepp because we want to get our guy better.
Yeah, I remember the first time that I had met him. This was, oh gosh, probably when I was an intern, like a year and a half ago. I mean, he just made me feel so welcome. Yeah. I mean, you all did. Don't get me wrong. You guys all did, but him specifically, he came up to me and was introducing himself. And, of course, I had already known of him because I had worked in Texas high school football before, and he was a legend. Everybody knew who he was and stuff. And just having the opportunity to work with him and meet him in person was just so special because he is such a nice, good-hearted person. He really truly cares about the kids that he covers, the teams, the coaches that he meets. I mean, he takes the time to go up and talk to you if he knows you, or if he doesn't know you, he'll go up and greet you personally. Like, he doesn't have a big head. He's very down to earth, so and humble. Just a humble, all-around, fantastic person.
I think my favorite thing about Stepp, and we've talked about this before, one of my favorite things about Stepp is, man, it doesn't matter who he's standing by, where we are. If he goes up to shake someone's hand, whoever from the DCTF staff is standing by him, he goes, "Oh, coach, have you met insert?" He'll do that with, like, Emma, she hasn't been here very long. She's
Right.
never been to a thing. But if Emma was standing next to Steph, he's not going to like talk to the coach and just kind of leave her there hanging. It's going to be, have you met Emma? She's the best HR person we have, or, the best customer service person that we have. And so anyway, Step is, one of the most genuine people. He cares about this sport. And I know how many people have said, we will never be able to thank you enough. Here's the time. This is when it'll mean most. So there you go. The GoFundMe for Matt Step, our guys, he's doing good. He's getting better every single day, but prayers and funds will help exponentially. And I can't tell you how much him and his family would appreciate it. So shout out to Max Thompson for setting up that GoFundMe. Poochie, always a great guy. All right, we're gonna do a hard and stop fast from that
news.
Yeah, we're Step would not want us to sit there and dwell on that, so we'll keep y'all updated as we hear more stuff with him. But in honor of Step, let's talk some high school football. Malpal, let's go ahead and do some headlines across the state. And what we're going to start off with, again, we did this last week, but we're probably just going to keep doing it. Reminder, UIL Realignment Day is set for February 3rd. We goes through once every 2 years where the UIL completely switches all the districts and stuff. Some of them stay the same, some of them not. Snapshot Day was earlier, well, I guess last year now technically in 2021. So we've got some really good ideas as to where teams are going to go. Such good ideas that, well, the man himself, Matt Stepp, has put together articles of kind of giving perspective on where he thinks certain teams are going to go. And two, we're not going to be going into 7A this realignment period, but it looks like it would probably be something
very
within
soon,
the next 2-3 maybe. Step does do what a mock 7A realignment would look like. So all of that's on texasfootball.com. So we just want to remind you, as realignment days are coming up, if you're curious where we think that your team is going to land, well, texasfootball.com has got you covered for all of that.
Yes.
We'll also have you covered on February 3rd. We'll have people all across the state doing all that stuff, all the normal jazz. The Revenge Tour starts on February 3rd.
you get to edit your video that you love.
Yeah, I got to get
Your
on
realignment
that.
video.
I need to talk to Tepper because he's not here to voice stuff. We'll figure it out. Hey, Tep. All right, moving on. Another headline across the Lone Star State. This one broke by Matt Stepp just earlier today.
Even in the hospital, he is
still
grinding.
Our
Love that guy.
Lubbock Estacado head coach Joe Cluley will be leaving, and he will be heading to named the head coach of Mount Pleasant.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't change that part.
Totally happens. So Coach Cluley has been at Lubbock Estacado for the past 6 years. He's 33-16 is his record there. 3 consecutive district championships. They made it to the third round of the playoff twice. I mean, he's really taken that program and made something out of it. And that's kind of one that it's typically kind of a slow grow there. You're not talking, really, really down to state championship within 2 years. But I mean, making it to the third round, representing West Texas, he has really built up that program out there. Now he's moving over to Mount Pleasant. So Richie Picknard was the head coach at Mount Pleasant. He is now just taking over solely athletic director roles. So I think he was head coach and athletic director. He will solely be taking on athletic director roles there. If you're not sure where Mount Pleasant is, it's about 50 miles north of Longview. So Cluley is going from looking at state of Texas, to all the way over there. Big move for him, but it's moving up a classification there. 2 classifications actually, 5A Division 2, and let's see, the Tigers were 4-6 this past season. They made the playoffs for the first time in 5 years, but he's going to try and turn that program around completely. The last time that they had a winning record was in 2012, I believe. It was an 8-3, so a program that's, some improvement there. They're going to have some of their returners back, but we're super excited for Coach Cluley to make his move from far west to far east there.
I always give a lot of credit to head coaches that are also athletic directors because that is one heck of a job. I don't know what it all entails, especially when you see it at like the 6A or even 5A level. Yeah. That's just incredible. I don't know how people even do that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like it's super common when you get anywhere past 4A, D2. I mean, even all the 3A schools, that was always the way it is at Atlanta. It's that.
You see it at the upper level too, and it's crazy.
But it is impressive when you have that many student athletes to oversee at a bigger level like that. So congratulations to Coach Cluley heading over there to Mount Pleasant. Another one. the San Antonio All-Star football game was this past weekend. You probably saw all of our recruiting brethren down in the 210 all week. And I mean, they do stuff leading up to this, like crazy different skills. You know, they have basically like different pro days almost where you go out there and you're able to see, you know, what's your 40 time, what's your this, blah, blah, blah. They do it all week long. It all leads up to the grand finale, which is the All-Star game on Saturday. And the final result was Team Gold. That was coached by Ricky Locke, the head coach at Southside High School, defeated Coach Mark Soto's Team Black 18-9. Now, Coach Soto, if you'll remember, he was at San Antonio Johnson this past season, and now he has accepted the Converse Judson job. That's his alma mater, so he's back home and super excited about it. But yeah, they ended up doing that. And so if you're not familiar with the San Antonio All-Star Game, basically we had the big time national All-Star Game in Florida the week before last. This one is basically just, there's 115 different athletes from 61 different high schools, but those 61 high schools are all in that more southern part of Central Texas, in Bernie and stuff like that, down to Taft and everything, obviously, in San Antonio. But I always like this because I feel like it's a really good opportunity for people to get, especially recruiting guys, to find those hidden gems.
Right. Especially in Texas when you have 1,400 high schools, all covered of which in our magazine. But like a lot of talented players can go under the radar at times just because they're overlooked by big name kids, you know? So a game like this is, I think, really awesome for kids that get overlooked like that.
Well, and let's not shoot the bull here. We recognize that a lot of the talent that's playing in that big time All-Star game, it's a lot of DFW and Houston kids. That's the name of the game. If you don't like it, sorry, but it's true. You have the Cade Klubniks from down in Austin, and you have the guys all across the state. There are prospects all across the state, but what that ends up happening is then you have the chance in these All-Star games to see those other prospects across the state that might not get a whole lot of, you know, reaction just from where they're, like, recruiting action from where they're at, who they play for, how well their team does. There are some dudes down there in the San Antonio area. It might not be as many collectively as in Dallas and Houston and that kind of stuff, but they're down there. And so that gives these recruiting guys a moment after the season's over to go get their eyes, and then they can go back and watch the huddle tape, and they can recommend, oh, hey, there's a 3-star down here that you should really take a look at, to programs like a North Texas, an SMU, a Texas Tech even, you know. So very, very cool there that went just as well as it always does, and some great recruiting stories down there from the San Antonio All-Star Game. Moving on to the college level here, let's talk about something that we totally saw coming.
I have a couple notes on this, and the first one says, we saw this coming.
We saw it coming.
This is no shocker to anybody.
So TCU running back Zach Evans is announced that he was transferring to Ole Miss. This is the furthest thing from a surprise for anyone, I feel like, who kept up with college football in the state of Texas. And maybe a little bit of it has to do with the coaching change, but if we're going to be completely, just bluntly obvious here, I think it's because what Gary Patterson utilized Zach Evans for was nothing. Yeah. You have one of the top running backs in the state, in the nation.
He's a 5-star coming out of high school, and he chooses TCU. You got to play that guy a lot. And the most frustrating part, we talked about it all season on Republic of Football. Now, of course, he got hurt, I think, in the Texas Tech game, so he didn't play a couple of those, but there were a couple games, like in that Texas game, he had 15 carries. Why aren't you going to run that guy? Why aren't you going to give him like 30 plus carries a game when he's obviously your premier running back?
Right.
You know?
Well, and that's what we always compared him to, a little bit of Bijan Robinson there, because why did Tom Herman get fired? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but it was primarily because he had a talent like BJ Robinson and somehow didn't figure it out until a useless bowl game. Right. You know, it's like, how do you not? And I don't know, we talked a lot, I don't know if it was Gary Patterson kind of being stuck in his ways of wanting, he's a defensive guy, so offensively, are you just trying to keep it balanced? Is there something we don't know about Zach Evans? What is it? The point of it was, when they gave the ball to Zach Evans, they won games. When they limited him to 10, 15 carries a game, they didn't win games.
It's such a trend amongst teams in the state of Texas. I can name at least 2 other teams that were like that as well. North Texas being one, and Texas A&M as well. Yeah, but I think that Ole Miss is a really good fit for him. Even in the bowl game when Matt Corral was out, they really could have used a premier running back like Zach Evans. So I think this is a really good fit for him, and I think he's going to probably get the ball more than 15 times a game.
Yeah,
under Lane Kiffin's squad.
Yeah, say what you will about Lane Kiffin, he's not a dummy when it comes to football.
he's
So
not.
we'll see. But we figured that transfer was coming.
Yeah.
I'm sure the new coaching staff might have wished that they could have kept him, but TCU running back Zach Evans now transferring to Ole Miss.
Now, can I mention one thing kind of along the lines? I've mentioned this to you before, but there were reports out on Twitter that said Gary Patterson visited Texas this weekend. Now, I guess it was just a tour of football facilities and stuff like that, but there were a bunch of reports saying that he was up there, or I guess down there.
Technically.
I always get Texas jumbled, but there are reports that he's down there. So I wonder if Sark is like, I want to maybe move more into that direction, hire him on the staff. But I just thought that was super interesting. I wanted to mention that too while we were on the topic of TCU.
GP's always wheeling and dealing. I'm sure he had his sweat rag, and he's wheeling and dealing. We never know, but interesting. That is interesting to hear that he was down there. So I guess we'll keep our coaching eyes on to see how that all plays out. All right, Malpal, and then one more, and we're going to talk about one heck of a football coach here. Mary Hardin-Baylor head coach Pete Fredenberg announces that he will be retiring after 24 seasons. And you want to talk about a guy that needs to have, if he doesn't already, and I'm going to play ignorance here, I don't know if he already has a statue outside of Cruz Stadium, but if he doesn't, he should. He had just an unbelievable season there. You know that Mary Hardin-Baylor has been the Division III powerhouse for years at this point. I mean, what he was able to do, he led, just one of the nation's most solidified college football programs at any level, and their level of dominance year in and year out. And so congratulations to him. You saw the unbelievable, we follow a lot of, obviously, Waco sports journalists in the greater area down there, and it was like the level of love, much like Ray Biles, kind of the level of love that man has down there. It just kind of took over by storm. But congratulations to him. He will be naming his longtime defensive coordinator, Larry Harmon. He was promoted to head coach, so they're going to keep that Fredenberg coaching tree just continuing to pump through there. And I think that probably says a lot of good things for their recruits, that they get to having that sense of normalcy, and that Crew defense has always been outstanding. Yeah. So,
and just to highlight his career a little bit more, he founded the program in 1998. So his first 2 seasons, right? 1998, 1999, he had a losing record, which is expected. If you're a brand new program, that's not too out of the weeds. 2000, third year as a program, went 9-1. Dude's insane. Yeah. He did a fantastic job with 3 NCAA Division III titles. He is certainly a legend, and I think I looked it up. I don't think they have a trophy of him, but or not a trophy, a statue of him. But it'll probably be coming soon.
You got to think that that's coming. And
for
like
sure.
You said, starting the program and everything. I mean, he is UMHB, and so big congratulations to Coach on an unbelievable career. We wish him nothing but the best heading into retirement. So I think that'll do it. There are some headlines across the Lone Star State, talking news and notes. We'll do this every single Monday to make sure we're keeping you up to the latest and greatest across the Lone Star State. Now let's head over to Mallory Hartley at the helm for America's favorite segment, Final Thoughts.
We'll do a quick programming note. You're stuck with us all week. We will be here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Friday, we will have a special guest. We'll probably keep that a secret until then, maybe, if you want to. I think it's kind of
we'll
fun.
release it like Wednesday.
Okay, that works.
But yeah, this is our first full week of shows in a hot minute, it seems like. I mean, really, probably since state championships, just the way that everything fell in the holidays and blah, 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 blah. The list goes on and on. But yeah, we will have Mailbag Friday, so go ahead and start thinking of those mailbag questions, because this will be the first one of the off season, so that's always a fun time, and we'll have a special guest here to answer some questions with us.
Yeah. fun.
Content. That's going to do it for us. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Twitter, let's start over. Instagram.com/Dave Campbell. It's on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/Dave Campbell's TF. Follow us on Twitter @DCTF. And, of course, see all of our work at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to our guest, Ray Biles, for joining us. For Mallory Hartley, I'm Ashley Pickle. Vince Young, come get it. Like, you have a week left without Tepper being here, so come get it. Hurry. We're running out of time. We'll see you tomorrow on texasfootball.com. Today. Whatever.